Hi everyone, we will get started in.
I'll give it like 3 minutes. It's only 35 minutes right now.
So we're gonna go ahead and get started. So this is the Hackathon Kickoff event. This is for you guys to get allocated with like what exactly your teams are, what the purpose of it is, and how we're gonna go about actually making some of these cool apps. So let's go through it. So why do we like not give a final exam? Why instead do we do a project? That's what we're gonna be talking about today. How the challenges, how you could win, the different like fields that you could win in, and the team reveal. So these are all things that we're gonna be talking about today. Okay, but a little bit on app dev. So we are Cornell App Dev. We provide these courses for you guys. We provide the iOS backend design, Android courses, so you guys could like learn how to do all that stuff. And what we basically do is just make apps. So we're a team of like around 70-ish heads, I think, right now. We have all 50 something, my fault. But yeah, we have all our members up here. These are some pictures of all of us. Of course, all of us are not here today, but a good amount are. But yeah, so the team is split up into 5 sub-teams. So in our app dev team, we have a design sub-team, an iOS sub-team, an Android sub-team, backend sub-team, a marketing sub-team. And basically what these sub-teams comprise of is members who know how to do these specific things in their field. So like we have iOS members who work on different apps, the front end of different apps. We have Android who work on front end of different apps. And basically all these sub-teams come together to create their own apps in pods. I'll be going into pods a little bit more later, but basically each one of these sub-teams is comprised of about like 10 or so members, and each semester we recruit about like a good amount of members, I want to say. It varies, but yeah, one of the purposes of these courses is to actually get members who are interested in applying to apply, have the skills to apply, and be ready for any of the interviews that we throw at you. So that's how our team's comprised of. And we also have our pods. So how we actually get these apps developed is through our pods. So we have different members from different sub-teams on our pods. So for example, we have a pod for Eatery. On Eatery, we have about like 2 iOS members, 1 Android, 1 backend, and like 1 designer. And all these people from these different sub-teams come together to create like the group that designs and creates like our Eatery app. And we have about like 6 pods. I think 5. We have 5 pods for our 5 different apps that we have. So we have around 5 or 6 active apps that we usually work on. And each one of those pods has around like the same like 9 or so members. Yeah. And aside from the pods and the apps that we make, we also as a project team teach the courses that we offer to you guys, right? So we have 4 different courses. We have our intro to DPD course. And here's our instructor right now. I'll let her introduce herself.
Hi guys, I'm Emily. I'm one of the core instructors for DPD, Intro to Digital Product Design, and here I have Michelle as well. Unless you, you're crazy.
Hi, Michelle.
Just a brief introduction about DPD. We are a 10-week course in which you go through a case study, and within this case study, you're able to develop a new feature on your favorite app. And at the end, you'll come up with a case study that you can send out for internships and find a job. Next, we're talking about iOS.
Yeah, I'm iOS. Sorry for not introducing myself. My name is Elvis. I'm a junior studying CS and philosophy right now. I'm co-instructor with Mr. Justin and I right here.
Hi. So hi, I'm Justin. I teach the iOS course. I'm a senior studying computer science. So the iOS course is also a 10-week course. For everyone here, you either have taken iOS, are currently taking iOS, and hopefully you guys are all will be taking iOS in here. But the iOS course is a great course. It teaches you the fundamentals of Swift, which is the programming language used to build iOS apps. And also by the end of the course, you'll have to complete a bunch of incremental projects. At the end, you'll build your own app. It's an app that you can show your friends and families, right? This is a cool app I built throughout college, as well as an app that can hopefully jumpstart your career, whatever you choose to do. So yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to message Elvis and I. We are your co-instructors for this semester, and hopefully you consider taking iOS sometime in the future.
Thank you. Next, Andrew.
All right, hello everybody. I am the other Justin, teaching the other mobile front-end development course, Android. I am a sophomore on app dev. I've been on here for 2 semesters, and this is my first semester teaching the course. It has been a wonderful experience thus far. I'm glad to see a couple of our Android members in the audience. Our class is relatively small, so I've gotten pretty close with them. But regardless, Android development is, of course, the mobile development platform for Android, which is the other most popular mobile development platform or mobile app platform on the market. And some, I guess, benefits of developing for Android are that you'll be working with a more open framework that will be applicable to a wider variety of skills than the not to wail on our competitors, but then will allow you and Android Studio can run on any device and not just a Mac. So consider taking the Android course, even if you are just an iOS member, and even if you use an iOS phone like myself, to consider broadening up your skills and increasing your skill set and potentially higher ability. All right, next we will have backend.
Hi everybody, I'm Jessica. I'm a junior, been on app dev for 3 semesters. I teach intro to backend, and backend essentially handles all the data for the apps that you use. Our course is a 10-week course covering basic client server architecture, creating databases, containerization, and deployment, which essentially just like allowing your backend to be accessible to everyone. And if this sounds interesting to you, please take Intro to Backend next semester.
Also, I didn't get to introduce myself, but I'm Chungo. I'm the other backend instructor this semester. This is my 2nd semester teaching, and it's been a blast so far. So hopefully, if you guys haven't taken backend so far, you'll consider doing so in the future.
Yeah, so that was a bit about our courses. Like I said, our courses, the goal of our courses is to kind of present you guys with the skills to do all the things that are specific to that course. Like for iOS development, it's making apps. For Android development, it's also making apps. For backend, it's just making the backend and design, making pretty apps. So yeah, please take our courses if you haven't already, or the other ones if you haven't taken the other ones already. But yeah, we build apps. So we hope that after taking this course, you're able to continue on with your app development journey, maybe even join us. And just to highlight some of the apps that we have right now, these are our, they're not all of them are active, but they're all apps that we've made. So Eatery, pretty recognizable. Transit, the app that you use to like go places. We have Uplift, Course Grab. Oh yeah, Course Grab is working now, so you should download it. Course Grab and Transit. So yeah, use them for this upcoming pre-enroll. Volume to read the news, and Pair to find friends. And so now we're gonna go over a little bit into like why we don't actually give exams.
Right, so like Elvis mentioned, right, this class is not going to have a final exam, but rather a final project. And there's, a lot of benefits to that and a lot of reasons to that as well. The biggest one being us as students ourselves. We don't like taking exams, so why would we give exams to you guys? But yeah, the first reason is beneficial for both us and you guys, right? You guys get to build a portfolio piece that will probably end up on your resume, and you can just like slap it on right after your freshman semester. I definitely didn't have that experience. I had to go through hackathons, but now here you are in one of our courses, being able to team up with people from other courses and building a fully fledged app, right? And I think that experience is really kind of rare to have in the college experience. And I'm very happy that we're able to provide that kind of opportunity for you guys. So that's the first reason. And the second reason is because in the realm of software engineering or any realm within computer science, a lot of the time you're going to be working with different people. And not only are you going to be working with different people, you're going to be working with different people doing different things, right? It's not just a class project where you're all working on one code base, but rather, if say you have an app, you have a front-end member, a designer, and a back-end member that all do different things, right? So you have these different components that, it's going to come with a lot of challenges, right? It's going to come with challenges to communicate with members that do different things. But that'll be this opportunity of Hack Challenge will be a great opportunity for you guys to practice that interdisciplinary communication skills. Okay, so the summary of the Hack Challenge, what this whole timeline is going to look like It's going to be a 3-week event, 2 weeks if you include Thanksgiving week, where you collaborate with people from the other courses, like we mentioned. All your teams are going to be between 4 to 6 students, and you will each be assigned a front-end member, a back-end mentor, or a front-end mentor, yeah, a back-end mentor, and a design mentor, if applicable, if you guys have a designer on your team. In fact, some of our mentors are actually here with us today, so it's also a great opportunity for you guys to be able to meet them and eventually get matched with them later on. And finally, we have challenges that we'll cover later, but if you build a project that ends up becoming exemplary or remarkable for us, there will be prizes for you guys. So yeah, that's a little bit of a motivation to do well. So here's the timeline. Like I just mentioned, right? The team matching Google form was due last Friday, and a lot of you probably have filled it out. We'll cover more on this later. We actually have like the team matchings done today. So you'll be meeting your team today, which is very exciting, but that's already passed. And tomorrow, right, once you find your teams today, will be when you submit your team roadmap Google form. So this is linked in the Hack Challenge Ed post that I made earlier today. For backend students, it's also in the backend course calendar. But yeah, it will just be a brief summary of like what your team is expecting to do. It's kind of like a team contract on like what the group project is going to be and what, say, like prize you're going to be shooting for. So that's what's going to consist in the team roadmap form that's due tomorrow. And then next Friday is when the midpoint submission is due. So the midpoint submission will have requirements. We'll cover this shortly as well, but it'll be the Friday after Thanksgiving. And we'll do check-ins, like the mentors will check in with you guys between tomorrow and the midpoint submission to just see that you're on track and you're doing something that's manageable and also exciting to do for you guys. So that's a midpoint submission. That's Friday. And then the following Friday is when your final submissions are due. So again, this is kind of like a 3-week span where you're going to be working on the project, and this will be the final version of your app that we're going to be reviewing over the weekend to finalize our prize winners on the following Monday. And that Monday we'll have the finale in Olin 255 at 8:30 p.m. So it's going to be slightly different than you guys' class schedules, but just keep that in mind. So again, just an overview of the timeline. Today is when we're going to be matching you guys with your teams, and you're going to be meeting your teammates, also potentially meeting your mentors if applicable. Tomorrow is when the team roadmap form is due, the team contract. Between tomorrow and next Friday is when your mentor is going to check in with you guys individually to see how you're doing. And next Friday is when the midpoint submission is due. The Friday after that is when the final submission is due, and the Monday following that is the finale where we announce the winners. So I already added everyone that's enrolled in one of our 3 courses, or the dev courses, in the Hack Challenge Ed. But in case you're a designer that somehow didn't get added to the Ed, or you're a student that's audited or taking it for no credit, make sure you join the Hack Challenge Ed using this link right here. And if anyone needs to take photos, I'll allow that, but it doesn't seem like there's a lot of people that need to do that. Thanks, Chris. Okay, cool. So yeah, now we'll be covering the project requirements and what each portion of the app will be graded on.
Yeah, so I think these are the final requirements for the iOS project. So you haven't learned any Swift UI yet, but that'll actually be this week's guest lecture topic if you choose to come to that. But just quick brief introduction of what Swift UI is. It's another way for you to kind of build and lay out your apps. A lot more clean, a lot more shorter, but it comes with different kind of style of thinking, which Han will be introducing to us today. I'll say hello to everyone, Han. Okay, this is Han. Is this mic even on? Okay, well, this is Han, right? Say hi to Han. But that will be the topic of today's iOS lecture. If you're in the course, feel free to come. If you're not in the course, you can come have a look, right? But yeah, okay. So more about the requirements. Swift UI or auto layout, some way of laying out things. And you can also choose to use the SnapKit if if P6 introduced you to SnapKit and you really, like have a burning passion for using SnapKit, that's also okay. Make sure you use one form of kind of a scroll view or higher level view, right? So that's either a table view, a collection view, and if you're going to use Swift UI, that's called a list. And make sure you also have some form of navigation. So we're requiring you that you at least have 2 or more screens, right? So don't just give us like a single page app. And in order to support that multiple views, you want to have some type of navigation to bring you from one to the other. And finally, make sure you also integrate the front end with the backend API. So basically, make sure that you make use of whatever the backend team members have provided for you. Yeah, that's all. And if you have any questions about the requirements, like, oh, does this satisfy this? You can feel free to reach out to your iOS mentor, or you can feel free to reach out to Elvis and I directly, and we'll hopefully help answer that. Okay.
Yeah. Also, no worries if we'll be sharing these slides with you later on, so no worries about writing like down these requirements right now. But yeah, on to the next set.
Thank you very much. So for Android, for you Androids out there, we'll want you to implement a recycler view. You should have a pretty good amount of experience implementing recycler views in the past, maybe 2 or 3 times on homework assignments and lecture, depending on if you actually come to lecture to do the lecture or if you just come for attendance points. Trust me, you won't hurt my feelings if you admit it. But besides recycler views, we'll also want you to create or interact with your backend API in some way, obviously, or else you wouldn't have a backend team. We want you to use our third-party APIs that we've been teaching you throughout the course, mostly OKHTTP, Mochi, and Glide. Those are the 3 that we've been mainly working with throughout the semester to interact with a backend. And in the end, we'll want you to create 3 fully functional screens, just like iOS, with solely activities or fragments. So you can have 3 different activities, 3 different fragments on one screen, or a mix between the 2.
Wait, can we use Jetpack Compose?
Oh, we would advise you to stray away from Jetpack Compose, since Jetpack Compose you can't really make like a recycler view in Jetpack Compose, so it'd be harder to standardize the grading. But if you can create certain components in Jetpack Compose that are not that satisfy some other of the requirements, then that's fine. But well, moving on to backend.
Hi, everybody, again. For backend, pretty basic. We have 4 routes implemented, so at least one being like a get request, a post request, and a delete. At least 2 tables in your database file with one relationship between them, so that's either like one-to-one or many-to-one. And lastly, an API spec basically explaining why you implemented each route. It doesn't have to be anything intense. A example will be provided to you as to like what's expected. And then an implementation of either authentication or images or both if you're feeling adventurous. And those are the optional lectures that we covered like last week and this week. So essentially your entire project is going to look like PA4, like the 4th assignment with like the courses and students, plus authentication or images. Yeah, that's it.
And talking about design requirements, so we have low fidelity sketches. So this is similar to what we were doing in the course earlier on. And then moving into medium fidelity explorations of multiple flows in Figma. Please keep in mind that while designing, I feel like, especially in our course, we're designing for an app that already exists and we have things that we're able to utilize, but also think about the scope of the team. We are also working with other courses and see what is manageable as well. So kind of when exploring these new explorations, think about it in a way of adding what you want, but also thinking about, okay, what if some things can't be done or implemented? How would that look? And then moving into high fidelity prototyping, similar to what we're doing now in the class. So just prototyping how things would move, flow together. And finally, the UI kit or design system in Figma, kind of showcasing the colors you're using, any brand, things that need to be included as well.
Can I ask something? So historically, what's like a good strategy is that when your front-end members are having their midpoint check-in, it is highly recommended that the designer also kind of like listens into the conversation, because a lot of the times that's when you can check, oh, is this design feasible based on what is taught in the course, of course. So yeah, I think that's what I do that.
Yeah, definitely +1 with communication within our design members and everyone else too. Obviously, like, the design members are not coding, but it's very important that they're involved in conversations just to know what can be expected and what they shouldn't expect as well. Because if they start creating designs that ideally might not happen in the time span that we have for this hack challenge, then it'll be a problem later that they'll be filled up with work and have to redo the screens. So please just 100% communication throughout teams.
Yeah, communication is key. Okay, yeah, to go on a bit more. So aside from like the final submission requirements that we also have some midpoint submission requirements. I won't go into these too much in depth, but basically the point of them is so that we make sure, or you ensure that you're making progress throughout your app. You know, just end up making everything like last minute. It's not what we want for you guys. But yeah, like I said, we're gonna be posting these slides, so you'll be able to see these midpoint submissions like in more detail later. And if you have any questions about them, make sure to ask your respective course instructor about them. And yeah, to reiterate with the final submission, so we have a Google form that you're gonna be filling out to put your project in. We're also gonna be asking you that you submit a demo video. The demo video just it makes it easier for us to judge your app instead of having to run it individually on each one of our own computers. So it just makes it easier to grade. And we also ask that you submit your GitHub repo, including a README that just goes over like the project description and all that. And yeah, so now the next thing we want to talk about is like how you could actually win. What exactly are you winning and what fields could you win in? So these are some of the challenges. So we have best backend.
Yeah, so best backend traditionally consists of obviously the bare bones requirements that we've outlined in the final submission requirements. But another thing that a lot of good backends do is integrate third-party APIs or use things like cron jobs, which are things that are outside the scope of the course. Basically, just explore what you can do outside the scope of the course, and you're free to talk with your mentor about this. But yeah, obviously, like all the other categories, best backend goes above and beyond, whether it be through external APIs or utilities that we haven't used in the course.
Yeah, so best UI is not specific to a course. Oh, do I have to hit the mic? Oh, oops. All right, let's restart that. So best UI is not usually specific to a course. It composes of like a collective effort of like, what the designers lay out, right? What the front-end members implement, as well as what is supported by the backend. Often this is like a very abstract metric, but I think the best way to describe it is what we find the most pretty. So yeah, historically the best UI apps are always the ones that are like most visually stunning. And I think we have recordings of like the previous events, so you can feel free to have a look at those to see what the kind of previously has won best UI, or if you just ask and check in with whoever your mentor is, they can also show you, who won the best UI. But usually these are like the ones that are like the most visually stunning and wowing. Okay, that's all. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, going back on that visual thing, like some examples of that would be like animations. We had an animation lecture earlier. Animations would just involve like installing other pods on your pod file for Cocoa Pods. If you were at that lecture, you're in luck. If you're not, there are probably some recordings out there for you to refer to. But if not, you could always come up to Justin and I for questions on that too. But yeah.
Okay, next.
Yeah. I guess some final words.
You're talking about you too, right?
Yes, I'm talking about you.
Oh, sorry.
As the front end teacher. But yeah, some final words on UI are that as a front end developer myself on, say, app dev, I do understand that sometimes it may feel like the UI is solely up to the design members. It is, after all, the design members to create what the front end members would then follow up and develop. But that is definitely not the full picture, and front end members and front end developers in the end have the final say, I suppose, in how polished and clean the app actually ends up coming out. And so even if your design, regardless of how your designs come out from your design team member, front end developers can add that extra level of polish, whether it be through animations or say elevations, shadows, just any little thing possible on the front end is these sort of things that we're looking for to push you over the end to get this best UI award. And moving on to most creative.
Yeah, so for most creatives, this is more of a fun one. And this is more focused on about your app, maybe the app name. In the past, we've laughed at app names or just the concept of it as well. And it's more of just like what your team does with it, like with your app, and just like how you can be creative from there. Kind of a little bit away from just like the ones that are like, okay, you need to have a carousel or you need to have this and that, but more about like expression as a team.
Yeah, we also have our best overall category. So this in generally is just like a great app all around. Like it has really good backend, really good designs, has a really nice front end, has some animations, and I'd say it's just a great idea in general. We've had some really good ideas come out of this hack challenge. I think last semester's hack challenge winners ended up publishing their app on the App Store. So we kind of made our own competition, which backfired on us, I guess, a bit. But it was a really good app, and it's really nice to see how people make great apps coming out of this course. But yeah, this is the best overall. I think the prizes are like actually I'm not gonna talk about the prizes. Those are surprises, but there are prizes with all these fields. And yeah, going back onto some past projects that we've had. These are what some of the layouts look like for iOS. So we have a foodie app. Looks kind of like the eatery, I guess. Has a filtering, has some search functionality. And I guess, oh yeah. Yeah. But yeah, some common aspects shared amongst all these apps is that they look really nice, regardless of if they're iOS or Android. Great apps look really nice. And a lot of the times these apps use other pods to make them look as nice as they are right now. Yeah. Another cool budgeting app. It's a fairly simple idea, but it looks really nice and also has some really cool features. Like it has that navigation bar at the bottom. I'm sure it has some animation hidden somewhere inside there. We just can't see it. But yeah, these are just some really cool apps that have won some of our awards in the past. And here's the social part of the past hack challenges. So some of these pictures are a little dated, but that's because we didn't take pictures at the last hack challenge. So some of these are pre-COVID.
Isn't that the last I come?
Never mind. The one picture up here is from last semester. The rest are like older than me, I think.
Pre-COVID, because COVID.
Yeah, but anyways, you have a great time at hack challenge. We have this one night where it's like the night before submissions are due. That's called like midnight office hours, and basically we're gonna be there like all night, midnight, fixing any bugs in your apps. All of the course instructors are gonna be there, and we hope that you guys all join us in going through this really cool process of like developing an app. This is usually where a lot of people make the most of their progress. I'm not gonna lie, but it's good because you guys will all be together, making really cool apps and getting through all the bugs. And you'll maybe meet like your closest friends here too. Who knows? And now the moment you've all been waiting for.
Yeah, so thank you all for sitting through all this talk. I know it's been very long, but it is the most exciting part of this kickoff. It's a team reveal. So yes. So the team requirements, we've already satisfied this and handled this for you, but it's going to be 4 to 6 people per group. No more than 2 backend developers, 3 front-end developers, or 2 designers per team. Again, but this is all handled for you, so don't worry about it. And yeah, drum roll. Okay, so here is. I'm sorry, it's not actually a team reveal. However, here's the QR code or the link to go to the Google form that will send you to Google Sheets to send you to a Sheets containing everyone on the AppDev courses. Just go to the sheet on your computer if you can, and then either Control F or Command F to like look for your net ID or your name. And you should be able to find your team. Please come up to me and Elvis if you don't have a team. And also, one thing I want to mention is if you're grouped with an AppDev member, you won't be able to win prizes. So just keep that in mind. I think only 2 groups exist in here that can't win prizes. But if you're in a group with AppDev members, you cannot win prizes. So if you want to change groups, this is your only chance.
Request to reshuffle.
Yeah, and that's it. So maybe we can organize like
Yeah.
Wait, we should keep it up.
yeah. Okay, we can organize like the meeting of teams like we did last semester. So how about we get like, how many groups are there? Like 20?
Like 30. Actually, not like they're like
20, 29? Okay. How about we get groups 1 through 5 in this corner? If you're here. And then we can get 6 through